Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to put an intake manifold on this 360. Now I thought this was just a basic um, mechanic task, putting an intake on. There's a lot of information on how to put an intake manifold on. Some companies will tell you to use a valley pan gasket. Some will say just some RTV in there. The forums are all over the place. I'm not much of a forum guy, but if you see how guys are putting their intake manifolds down, it's kind of crazy. Now, I'm not wanted on most forums. I've been booted off a lot of forums just for being me, and the forums say, oh, we don't want professionals and we don't want guys that have more tools than we do, so we don't want you on the website or the forum, if you will. So I'm not much of a forum guy, but I decided to take a look and see what guys were doing to put intake manifolds down, and it's quite scary. Now I've had the luxury, I guess, of having some older Jeep guys teach me along the way, and I'm going to show you how most racers, most drag guys, most everybody is putting AMC manifolds on, including myself. Now you can do anything you want to do, but I'm going to show you what I do, and that's like the last thing we got to do on this 360. Don't paint it and get the transmission on and get it fired up. But stick around, I'll show you how the manifold goes on. Okay guys, before I put any manifolds down, I like to pressurize the oil system. I've just got an old distributor here that I cut. I've got it on a drill, and I like to confirm that all of the rockers are getting oiled, and I like to test this line right here that I've got going to the back. I want to make sure we don't have oil pissing out of there. So I'm just going to turn this real easy. I think you can see the rockers getting oiled. Okay, I've got some real drag on the drill. I know that all of these guys are getting oiled. I confirmed on every one of them that oil's coming out of every one of them, and I don't want to let too much collect here without the valve cover on. But our line looks good, and I know it's coming up the push rods. That's the first thing I like to check before I put a manifold on. Normally you don't have any trouble, but it's always good to check. And that's a good way before you fire it up to pre-lube the engine. Just spin it up with a drill, and you'll have good oil everywhere in the engine before you fire it up. Okay guys, we're putting a Performer Edelbrock manifold on this engine. I had this, that's why I'm using it. It's in decent shape. Now let's talk about the manifold first. Edelbrock, you'll buy it, and you'll get a pan on the bottom. This is the most critical part of the pan right here. Your PCV valve is right above that. If this wasn't here, you'd suck all the oil out of the motor through the PCV. It would just get sucked right through the carburetor. If you buy an Offenhauser manifold, you're going to get a beautiful manifold, but there's going to be no pan on it. So you're going to have to make a pan for that. You need a pan under an AMC manifold. If you choose not to use a pan, you at least have to block off the PCV system. Like I say, you will suck all the oil right out of your motor if that's not shielded. Now, that's an Edelbrock manifold, and here's some Edelbrock gaskets. The 7213 is the part number they use for the Edelbrock gaskets. Okay, now I'm going to take one out of here. Well, let's take them both out. These guys here are 30 thousandths thick. It's a good quality gasket, but it's 30 thousandths thick. There's not much there. In their directions, they tell you to use that gasket and then take your valley pan gasket and sandwich them together. Now that's kind of crazy. I don't recommend that, but a lot of guys are doing that, and I guess they're doing okay. Again, do anything you like, but that's not how I do it. This is an aluminum intake manifold. As you can see, super lightweight aluminum. 25 foot-pounds on these bolts. Now the cast iron manifold, you put those down with 43 foot-pounds. Now, cast iron manifold at 43 foot-pounds can crush the bead in the valley pan gasket. 25 foot-pounds will not crush the bead. And a lot of times, when you put the 30 thousandths gasket and then the beaded valley pan, your intake manifold is going to sit too high. And then what guys are doing is they're elongating the holes there, and that makes for a mess too. Now this particular block was flat. I didn't have to do anything to the block. I didn't deck it. I didn't do anything to the heads. So the manifold fits. If you deck your block, plane your heads, you know, take a, say 10 thousandths out, you're going to have to take your intake manifold and mill that down so everything sits. Your machine shop can do that, but you will have to mill that to sit low. This is lots of cover here, so if this is not something you're doing, then you might not be interested in it. Okay, so now here's the gasket. And the Edelbrock one, it gives you that cutout right there. That's for some exhaust heat to come up underneath your carburetor and heat your carburetor. You won't find that on the air gap manifolds and stuff like that. But anyway, they put that in their gasket. Now, I have the Edelbrock gaskets, but I'm not using those. What I'm using are the Ultra Seal intake gaskets. Okay? Now these do not have the cutout, which would go right there. I traced it around there. I'm going to cut that out because here in the Northeast we get cold winters and stuff, and if you want the best setup, you're going to want that exhaust flowing through there, heating the base of the carb. So I'm going to cut these out, but these are 62 thousandths thick, and they're made out of a better material than the Edelbrock ones. Now I'm going to put this down without the valley pan gasket. Now I know some guys are telling me I'm crazy and stuff, but again, I've had good luck with a lot of older AMC and Jeep guys, racers and whatnot, building crazy motors, things like that. And I'm putting the manifolds on the same way they did, and they had good luck, and I've had good luck since my very first 304 engine that I built when I was 15 years old. So I'm going to cut out those gaskets, and then we'll get to putting this guy on there. Okay guys, we got our hole cut out, and I just cut those out, and see what's on my fingers there? They're dirty. That's graphite. Okay, now you guys know I like graphite gaskets for well, I got complete graphite gaskets for the headers that are going on here. I use graphite for my exhaust gaskets when I build custom exhausts. Now these guys here, this isn't 100% graphite. It's got other stuff mixed in, but it's a good gasket. Graphite is super high temp, and this will be a good long-lasting gasket. Most places are going to tell you that these gaskets will not last by themselves. They need the valley pan with them. Again, you can do what you like, but that's not how I do it. These gaskets will last. That Jeep that I put together when I was 15, that's still going there, and as far as I know, that's been through a couple owners, and it's never had its manifold changed. So, Ultra Seal intake gaskets. That's your best deal. Now, if you're doing a Chevy, a Ford, anything like that, you could buy gaskets. It's going to have a silicone ring around all the areas here, around the water, around the intake, everywhere. But because we're dealing with AMCs and stuff like that, nobody gives us the love we deserve. So companies don't want to make nice gaskets for us. This is the best you're going to get. When you go buy them, people are going to tell you that they're going to have silicone around there, you know, different manufacturers. This is what an ultra sealed gasket is going to look like when you get it. Does not have a bead around anything. So we're going to put those down next, and we're going to use a little bit of gasket cinch. This will hold them in place. I think Edelbrock and a couple other manufacturers, they say use this. This gasket cinch has been around forever. It's going to secure the gasket to the head. We're not going to fiddle around with any kind of RTV or silicone. We're going to put some gasket cinch on there. We're going to get that gasket stuck so it doesn't move when we put the manifold on. Okay guys, we've got the gaskets stuck onto the engine here. That gasket cinch, put a little on the gasket, a little on the head. It's like a contact cement. You wait a few minutes and it'll stick. Now we're not worried about getting any RTV or anything behind that, because that gasket's we got a perfectly flat surface on the intake planes here. So we're not worried about anything sneaking through there. Now I'm going to just lay the manifold on here right now, and I'm going to take a look and see how big the gap is right here and in the front, and then we'll know how much RTV that we have to lay in there. Don't use a rubber seal there, or front or back. Just use RTV, and I'll show you what I use when we get there. But for now, I'm just going to take the manifold, gently lay it in there. Okay, now you see this gap here? This is what we need to overfill with RTV. Same in the front. Okay, so now we know we got about a little more than a 1/4 inch, so we'll lay some RTV in there, and then we'll put the bolts in. Okay guys, you saw what kind of RTV I like to use. That's the only stuff that's in the shop. I've got a heavy bead here. I've got a heavy bead in the front. I'm around every opening here with the RTV. The water jackets, the intake ports, I'm everywhere. Okay? Now, on the manifold, see, I've got some on the manifold as well, right there and right there. Everything's going to squish together. Okay, now our manifold is nice and clean. We're going to set that down gently, and then we're going to start putting the bolts in. Okay guys, manifold's down. Gasket material's oozing out the back and the front. When you first put it down, you're probably going to want to wipe that and stuff. It's best if you just let it harden. Let it harden overnight, and then come in with a razor and clean that off. It's much cleaner that way. Now we're going to put this manifold down to between 25 and 27 foot-pounds, and we just got a torque wrench on here. We're just going to go from the center, the side to side, and like this here, and get this down evenly. So these bolts have the ARP Ultra Torque on them, and I'll show you a little bit more about the products I use in a minute. But we're just going to torque that down, get the whole thing down, and we're just going to leave it. We're not going to do anything with any of the oozed out sealer. Like I say, we'll just let it dry. Okay guys, you just watched me put the manifold down. I've been doing manifolds like this since I was a kid. I had the opportunity. Any of you guys are from Connecticut, you might remember or know of this guy John. He used to run Jeeps of old. That was back when I was a teenager, and I'd spend every Saturday up there, and he would help me out and show me how to do things. And I built my first Jeep with his guidance. I don't even think you could find any information about that company, but he started out in Beacon Falls, Connecticut, wound up in Seymour, Connecticut, And like I say, as soon as I started driving, I was there every weekend, and he taught me a lot. He passed away shortly after I got to know him. I knew him a couple of years. And then, again, you guys from the New England area may have heard of L&L Machine out in Groton. This guy Dave and Ed. And they taught me quite a bit as well. They could rebuild the early engines that I was bringing them way back when, and they also drag raced. So I learned a lot. And then I come out here on YouTube, and then people see me do things, and they see me use products and stuff, and they think I'm an asshole, don't know what I'm doing. I get a lot of shit from a lot of people. I'm going to show you what's in my 2 trays here for engine building stuff. You saw me use the gasket cinch just a little while ago. I always have the ARP Ultra Torque. That one's almost over. I got a spare one in there. For soft set stuff that I want sealed, oil plugs, things like that, a little gas oiler. That's a little container. That's another container. I use that for soft set stuff that I want to get back out again. This stuff here, this Permatex anaerobic, I get quite a bit of shit every time I use this. I put this on every stud that goes into a Willys L head or F head. It's the best sealant ever. People tell me I'm crazy and it's not a thread sealant and blah blah blah. This is why I hate everybody. Okay. Extreme pressure lube. Okay, this goes on every push rod. It goes on every rocker. There'll never be a dry startup with this stuff. This is in every engine that I build. Extreme pressure lube. We got some anti-seize. That's high temp copper. Earl's lube for when I'm doing AN lines and stuff. Cam shield. That goes on every single camshaft I do. And you know I love the assembly gel. This goes in every single engine. Every main bearing, every rod bearing gets assembly gel. You saw me just use some Permatex Right Stuff. It's the only stuff in the shop. This is the only RTV sealer that I use. This is the best stuff out there. Believe it or not, it's just what I use. And this goes on certain head gaskets, the copper spray. So, like I say, I've had some fortune to meet some of the good guys in the business. Both L&L and Jeeps of Old have been gone. Jeeps of Old's gone a long time ago. L&L, it didn't go another generation or anything, so they're gone. And like I say, I'm doing things the way the old guys did it. The guys that were out there racing every weekend, you know, the guys that didn't sit around and say, oh, well, I heard this on the forum, or I heard that on the forum. Forums are good and bad. Like I say, nobody likes to let me on a forum, so you won't find me there. But they're good and bad. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that say this motor is going to fail, it's going to leak. Without the valley pan, the world's going to stop and you're going to kill us all. That's not the case. You'll see this engine go in on a stand and run and stuff. I've still got to get a carburetor. But if you use the right gaskets and you follow the steps that I just showed you, you're not going to have a problem with the manifold being too high and you have to slot the holes, or you're not going to. There should be no reason why anybody slots holes. If you did some machine work, have your machinist make the manifold fit properly. I mean, it's just engine building is getting to be a thing of the past. There's not a lot of guys doing it, and the guys that are doing it are really screwing things up. Again, you could put 2, 3, 5, 7 gaskets in there if you want. The gaskets I used and the RTV I used is all you need. If you still want to put the valley pan in there, well, that's up to you. You are never going to crush that valley pan gasket at 25 foot-pounds. Like I say, the factory cast iron one was 43, and that crushed it just fine. But you'll never do it with that aluminum intake at 25 foot-pounds. So again, you're just relying on whatever RTV you put in there. And yeah, a lot of guys are probably getting away with it, but I showed you the way that I do it, and I showed you the way the guys before me have done it, and hope you learned something today. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video.